Hello and welcome to Moore's Park. Today, or this evening, I seem to be making a lot of evening videos, just when I come home from work. Anyhow, this evening, I've got 3 new plants in the Moore's Park greenhouse that I wanted you to see. I bought these last Saturday, each one at a different place. And it just goes to show you, you just never know what happens when you go out grocery shopping. And if you're worried about buying a plant every time you go grocery shopping, you probably better stay out of the garden areas. But then sometimes they're not in the garden areas. As a matter of fact, the first plant that I got last Saturday that we ran into, we were going to another store completely. And across from the store, there was a farmer's market. This is what I bought at the farmer's market. It's got a nice little flower stalk there. See? This is a Haworthia Retusa. Actually didn't even have a tag. I had to have Daz of Cactomania identify this for me. Thank you, Daz. I appreciate it. And I know what I've got here. This is actually a great plant. The lady at the stand had several cacti and succulents, and she had some big ones like this. They were marked $12, and she had them on sale because she said they needed repotting. So she was going to give them for half price. $6. Huge Haworthia. Really nice cluster. I'm not sure how many heads are in there. It's a lot. And a little flower stalk, so I got to see what it looks like even when it blooms. Wish my phone would get better focus, but see that? Anyhow, great plant. Love having it. The second plant I ran into was at a Lowe's, which for most of you here in the States know what a Lowe's is. It's like a building supply store, kind of do-it-yourself home center / garden. And there I ran into this. This is, well, this has kind of a story. Excuse me. The story on this plant is that if you look online, if you see this sold at any kind of nursery or, like I said, Lowe's or Home Depot's or whatever, it goes under the name Euphorbia Loricata. Like I say, look it up online and everything. This is the plant you're going to see. Okay, here's the problem. I looked this up actually in the Euphorbia Journal, and there's a whole story about Euphorbia Loracata. An article, excuse me. And this is not Euphorbia Loracata. Now here's the reasoning. It's within that same group of euphorbias that are of similar form. Offhand, I can't remember the group name. But anyhow, Euphorbia Loracata has either male or female plants. And this plant is clearly both. And it produces its own seed. And you can see seed pods starting there. And I think there's another one back here. Seed pod. Right there. See it? This plant is male and female. Euphorbia Loricata has separate sexes on separate plants. And it looks a bit different. The stem of Euphorbia Loricata does not have these nice, even tuberculate ribs here. It does have the remains of the flower peduncles that act like spines. It does have that in common, but it has a lot more of them. Euphorbia Loricata is covered with them. And the stem of Euphorbia Loricata, instead of having these nice straight lines, actually looks more like this on the young stem. More like spine shields. And almost all of them produce these peduncles, and so they're almost covered in them. But the whole stem looks like this. Now in the Euphorbia Journal, they kind of explain on this plant that there is this plant. They kind of throw this in there, that there's a plant sold as Euphorbia Loricata, this being it. They don't know actually where it falls. It's within the same group. They do know that. But it is both male and female. Of course, Euphorbia Loricata, as I said, has separate sexes and separate plants. And they say they thought it might be a hybrid, but the problem is with being a hybrid is when it sets seed that the seedlings can have a variance in them. They vary a little bit, and you get different phenotypes. And this plant seems to set pretty stable seed. This is what you'll get when it grows from seed. No real, variances. So anyhow, this Euphorbia I've kind of put under the tag of Euphorbia Loracata. Possible hybrid? Don't know. Really, there's no way of finding out what this plant actually is. It's a really cool plant. I can remember this plant from childhood. It was one of my very first Euphorbias, if not the first. I thought it was a cactus with leaves. I was only about 6 years old. And took it to a show and tell at my kindergarten class. I remember it. A very cool Euphorbia, though. I really like it. Neat form. There's about 5 different cuttings, I think, that have been rooted, is what it is. It was about $25. It was a little pricey, but still very cool. A lot of cuttings in there rooted. Good plants. It's in full bloom. And even setting seed. So that's a cool one. Next is this. Now this was marked as Euphorbia Jorita. Now to me it's very much polygona, but I think it's actually a hybrid. And there are many hybrids of these Joritas and polygonas. I've made them myself. I've got some seedlings going right now that are of that. But polygona usually has a little more chalky coating to it. And this one you can kind of see the green all through it. This one's very fertile. Look at all the seed pods on it. And it's had a lot of places where you can see where they've popped off already. And not only that, little seedling growing way down in there. It's just germinated. And actually, on the other side, seedlings growing there too. Look at that. So this one's kind of prolific. But it was such a great cluster, and I ran into it at Walmart, believe it or not. I just purchased these during the day. We went into Walmart for our groceries. We went through the garden center, mistake, and I ran right smack into it. I went, oh, that's such a beautiful cluster. Now, it wasn't a plastic pot. I put it in this one. But that is a beautiful plant. Love it. And I have some polygonas, but my pure polygona is a little different. This is the pure one. It has more of a thick, chalky coating to it. It actually even flakes off as it ages. But that's my true polygona. I believe this one here is also polygona. It's possibly a hybrid. It's pretty spiny. But anyhow, this is a beautiful plant, and I'm really glad to have it in my collection, and especially since it likes to seed so much. It'll probably cross real easy with some of my Jorita males. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you these new plants. Very cool new plants. This is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I hope you enjoyed these plants. I know I'm going to. Take care and good evening.